Welcome to the Personal Development Essentials podcast. Today I have the pleasure to be speaking with an extraordinary lady who is a Wim Hof method instructor. As a matter of fact, she is the number one female Wim Hof trainer in the world. So it's a real pleasure for me to speak with her. So without further ado, Emma Estrela, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's great. Yeah, absolutely. Great.
Emma, the first thing I wanted to ask you, for people that maybe have not heard at all about who Wim Hof is and what is the Wim Hof method, can you give us an overview in a few sentences? What is it all about?
Yeah, sure. So the Wim Hof method is devised from this guy called Wim Hof. He's known as the Iceman, or just crazy Dutch daredevil, however you'd like to put it. He's got 26 world records, and majority of them are to do with cold exposure or ice, whether it's sitting in ice or running the Arctic Circle half marathon just in shorts and sandals. They're all cold exposure linked. So he got recognized for that. Everyone thought it was just his physiology, his body, but he claimed that no, anyone can do this. So we had some medicals. It's now scientifically endorsed, and it's called the Wim Hof method. So the Wim Hof method is devised of 3 pillars. One of them is a breathing technique. The other one is cold exposure, and the other one is mindset focus or commitment, if you like. All 3 are very transferable into everyday life and applying it to whatever you want to do. So it's beautiful.
I can actually vouch for that personally because I have had my experience of the Wim Hof method, and I actually do the breathing and the cold showers. I don't do ice baths, but apart from the one I did in London, but I can vouch for the method. But Emma, take us back to how you were, where you were actually before you became a Wim Hof instructor, because I understand that you had a turning point in your life, didn't you?
Yeah, sure. So right back to the beginning, I was kind of off balance. I got off balance, I suppose, in my life, where I split up from my boyfriend who's clinically depressed. I lost my job, made redundant, and then I had a massive argument with my mum. Now I'm adopted, and I challenged her about that. And it was tough love because I ended up waking up in a police holding cell. So that was a time that compelled me to change because everything went wrong in 5 weeks, and I couldn't really understand why. So fast forwarding, I was searching for answers in nature where I live in beautiful Cumbria at the moment. And I was reading audiobooks and podcasts, and it was on another podcast, the Rich Roll podcast, that I heard Wim being interviewed. And I had heard of the Iceman, but it's until he told me his story that started to resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, I did all the exercise that Wim suggested, the push-ups, and then I bought the 10-week course, which is available now online. I got to week 6, wasn't feeling anything, and I bought the Poland winter experience, and I suppose it was there as my defining moment. So it's a really acceleration of the year. I sort of changed my mind on life, or my view on life, when I was wearing shorts and a sports bra on a mountain, like I think it was minus 17, 18 degrees, and the wind factor was minus 70 miles an hour. I don't really care for figures, but all I know, it was really, really cold.
It was cold, all right.
Like I had ice on my eyelashes. It was that cold, and my hair was like frozen in this position because the wind was blowing. And that was when I had my realization of what life was all about. And it wasn't that complicated. It was really to simplify things back down again. The only thing I could control was my breath work and putting one step forward. And that was a really serene moment for me, that life can be so simple. And I've been overthinking it, overcomplicating it, creating my own negative thoughts, not believing in myself. But to have done that and achieved that, for me, was what I needed at the time. So,
I think we all suffer from or have suffered from that exact thing, the overcomplicating things in here and getting into a pattern of negative thoughts that one leads to the other, and then sometimes the way to break from that is to have a serene, a tranquil experience. And usually it happens in nature. Sometimes it can happen, for me it happened at the Tony Robbins event with 10,000 people. But usually nature is what triggers or is the catalyst for these experiences.
Absolutely. I can't describe it other than physically it was like a sigh, like, oh, wow. And I surrendered to me and the environment, and I found the word surrender a very powerful thing, actually. So because I surrendered and just let go, and I couldn't fight anymore, and I actually didn't feel cold. I relaxed into my body, really felt comfortable. I felt I was really aligned, and it was just a fantastic place to be. Something switched in my brain, and I just thought, I'm looking at life completely wrong. Yeah, so it was a really big moment for me. So I changed my mind. So but after that, I did things that I've been putting off in my life. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I was like, no, the time is now. So I walked the Camino, which is the Pyrenees, in Saint Jean Pierre de Port to Santiago de Compostela. And that was, so that was 900 kilometers. And I did that in 1 month in January.
900 kilometers.
Yeah, 900 kilometers.
Okay.
So I walked with a big backpack, and I was walking along, and it was +8 degrees. So for me, it was pretty warm, considering 2 weeks earlier I was in -17. So I was wearing in shorts, and I really connected to the Wim Hof method when I was walking. Every day I connected with the breathing and the cold, and things started to just settle in a different way, a different outlook, a different way, because the breathing really does help you have some clarity in the water and things like that. So I became stronger. Physically, I became stronger as well, because going into the water is a really good cardiovascular workout, better than any gym, because of vasoconstriction, vasodilation. So internally, I was starting to feel much stronger, strongest I've been, and just becoming aware of my internal state as well, and it was just very powerful. So fast forward a little bit, when I finished the Camino, I went to Cumbria back home, and I just decided to enter a marathon in 5 weeks, because I just felt on top of the world. So no training, well, no running, no conventional training. Okay. I just breath work. I cycled a bit around here, and here's undulating, so it was a good endurance, if you like. And I went into the waterfalls, and I swam and stuff like that. And then 5 weeks on, I cycled 6 miles to my marathon, and I ran my first marathon. It felt so good. 5 weeks later, I entered an ultra marathon, cycled 6 miles to go there, ran my ultra marathon. And it was that moment on that I knew there was something in the method, and someone suggested me to become an instructor. So that's where it all started.
Here you are now. It's really fascinating, especially these kinds of achievements, physical achievements, like a marathon without training. I mean, I've done half marathon, and I know how hard it can be, and I had trained. So, and I think the real battle is with your mind.
It was.
Yeah, it's not with your legs.
Absolutely. I heard a few podcasts as well. I don't know if I can quote, but like David Goggins said,
Of course, yes, sure.
Yeah, if you're ready to quit, your body's only at like 40% or something like that. I had that in my mind, and I was like, so I knew how powerful the mind was. I knew how powerful it is anyway, because I kind of locked myself in life behind, like just recently Russell Brand said, when you do the Wim Hof method, you realize you're only living in one room of your mansion. And that was beautifully put. Like, I love the guy with his words, that it's so true. Like back then I realized there's such a bigger world out there, and it's not about me. Do you know what I mean? I'm part of it, and it makes it, I had so much gratitude rather than things are happening and it's so overwhelming. It was almost the complete 180. So I knew how powerful the mind was, and I had a strong mind. I just wanted to to make it, instead of control me, for it to be in a positive way. So I did do a mindset on my run. So no training, but if I didn't quit in my mind, my body wouldn't quit. So that was my achievement and my goal. And then you know what? I didn't hit the wall. I was back at work the next day. I really ran in a romantic way. Like I smelt the wild garlic. I saw the rustles of the trees and the leaves. It was just a really beautiful experience. And for that reason, my mind was strong. Yeah. So, and that's what I mean. You can apply it to life. Yeah, it's so great.
Thank you for sharing this experience with us. This is it's beautifully said, and I'll keep that in mind for the next time I'm going to run a race.
Just look at the bigger picture and what you're involved. You feel so connected. But the Wim Hof method, because I do it in nature, I feel connected to nature. So when I'm sat there in the water and it's cold and you need to focus, you focus your breath and you know, your body awareness and everything like that. But then when you've got it under control, you're sat in a really beautiful place. You just look around and you see the nature around you. So in the wintertime, I saw like dew on the grass, and the spiders just moving along in a web, but it wasn't threatening. It was glistening because of the early morning sunlight, and the moss was glowing, you know, just things like that. And it just made me feel, wow, this is beautiful. I'm so pleased to see finally the beauty of life. So when I was running, I was very much in that kind of state, and I was very neutral. And because of that, I didn't overthink. I think because you use a lot more oxygen if you overthink. So my body was kind of in balance, and I was able to run as one unit. So it was fantastic.
Let's talk about the method itself, shall we? So you said there are three pillars of it: the breath work, the cold exposure, and the mindset or the commitment. So shall we speak briefly about each of them? So about the breathing, first of all.
Yeah.
You know, we all breathe in
Yes.
and out, but we obviously are breathing in the wrong way, don't we? So
I wouldn't say the wrong way. I would say body optimally. That was all. So it's just how you breathe every day. I personally believe that you need to breathe through your nose. Your nose is there for a function. So, and that's breathing apparatus. Your mouth is, you know, voice, sound, eating, things like that. So I believe as you are, as I would be, mouth closed, in and out from the mouth, mouth closed and out from the nose. So that's just every day. But during the Wim Hof, you're actually exercising the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So you're fight and flight. So you're kind of like action of hyperventilation, so to speak, but it's controlled hyperventilation. And then you are in your rest and digest, which we call our retention time, which is like a breath hold. So you're exercising the two, and you're flexing your breathing, if you like. So it's not good to stay in fight or flight, but it's good in order to get a really good rest and digest. You have to go that way to ping back down there, and then you end up neutral. So that's what the breathing does.
So do you do the breathing exercises at specific times, or is it something that you constantly breathe in a more conscious way, shall we say?
During the day, I tap into breathing in a conscious way. But with the Wim Hof breathing technique, when I first came back from Poland, I was breathing every day. But now I probably breathe about 4 times a week. So I do slightly less. But in my life, I've been doing it for 3 years now. I know when I feel like I need to breathe. Like just now, I've done a bit of traveling. I'm breathing every day because it just helps. So. But I feel when it's the right time. I personally, the best advice I was given in Poland was never to time your retention times or count your breaths, because there is 30 breaths, 2-minute retentions 3 times. And that's fantastic. And I still live by that, but there's no need to count them, because you're still in your head. And don't time your retentions, because you won't go in your body and feel the connection. So because of that, it was a great advice. And I think I was able to get into my body, do the marathon, have that change quicker, because I trusted the body. to connect with the head. I know it works both ways. The body can influence the mind, and the mind can influence the body, but I just wanted that unity. So in order to get that unity of trust both ways, forget the timing. So so do the breathing, don't overthink it, and do it any time of the day. Mix up the routine, because it creates new stimuli. Life's not routine, so I don't know why we want to make it routine. It's nice to be spontaneous and do that. So that's how I would do it. But I understand people have structure and routine and need it and things like that, but you can mix up whether it's morning or afternoon or evening time. That's if you've got enough flexibility for that, that's great. So
when I'm doing it, well, you said about not timing it, which I completely understand what you mean and why it is. But in the beginning, it really helps to time it, because it amazes you that you can be without oxygen in your lungs for a minute and a half or something like that. And say, wow, how can... But you kind of keep on looking at your watch, which will distract you from the overall experience. And I remember Wim saying that the breathing is the connection between the mind and the body. I remember that very, very clearly, what he said, and it's a very fascinating concept.
It is, absolutely.
Like that.
Yeah, so I was advised to meditate, but when you've just come out of a very stressful, going back to a life change where my boyfriend and I split up, I lost my job and had a row with my mum. The last thing I wanted to do was meditate. It was wow! I was really tense. So and everything was just so overwhelming, and I was trying to process things, but couldn't figure out why. So, but the Wim Hof method is really good, because instead of meditating and trying to clear your mind and think of thoughts like clouds, they come and they go. I was like, what? You focus on the breath. So you have another focus point, which enables you to get into your body, be aware of the feelings, and everything like that. And then and quieten the mind, because you're feeling the body sensations under the breath work. That now I'm able to meditate. Now I understand the meaning of meditation, but I couldn't do it straight away. So the Wim Hof method is a real good shortcut for many things. As you say, I was like you when I first started. I like to think the belief of trusting yourself empty with the exhale and then pausing was amazing for me, because I've always thought I'd overbreathe because that's safer, but actually, have you tried the opposite? And also, I couldn't believe I could hold my breath for, as you say, a minute and a half the first time I did it, or even a minute. I was like, how is this happening? So I think the timing is a really good way for belief or proof, if you like. But then once you have that, then let go of that a little bit more and flex where you can go and things like that, and start trusting your body. So when you start trusting your body again, it has a whole world of possibilities and where you can take it. And I think for me, I've always been thinking in my brain, in my intelligent brain, my rationale, but now I make decisions from my heart. I make decisions from my gut and my intuition. So, and that's what's broadened my life and made it beautiful. Yeah. Something quite powerful of just going with the flow, and if it happens, it happens, or there's a reason because there's something beyond that, and that's so nice to live by.
Absolutely. It is very spiritual, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Your description and what you said earlier about when you were in the cold and you just surrendered. This is, what the mystics say, or what they describe spiritual experiences, when they just surrender to whatever it is out there that beyond us.
Yeah. And I thought I was living like that, though. That's the irony. I genuinely thought I was living authentically before. And I think I was, with integrity and everything like that, but not too much not for me. Not for my inner me or my true self, if you like. Now I know the meaning of authenticity, if you like. I'm so honest with. No, I was supposed to not honest, but I'm just more aligned to what my truth is. So I'm not afraid to speak it. I'm not afraid to that. And I've even spoken to people. I was like, I've had I've had a feeling, or it just doesn't feel right, you've triggered something in me. And instead of like going rah and reaction, I'm like, wow, why is this happening? And then what's this relationship, kind of what's the purpose of this? And it's been great because then I can aware of it, and then I can work on it. But that's only through the connection of the breath work and being in the cold, the other pillar of the Wim Hof method.
Talk to us about the cold as well, because it is, it's been, I know that it's been proven scientifically that it improves your energy levels, reduces your stress levels, a better immune response. So I've read the scientific facts, and it's fascinating, and I'm hoping that it's going to be common knowledge very soon, and people really accept that. But in terms of explaining to someone that would say, I would never take a cold shower because it's uncomfortable. What would your approach be to someone like that, to convince them, to persuade them, not convince them, persuade them to try something uncomfortable?
Yeah, sure. It was well, I was one of those people, I would say, because I'm a Brazilian blood. So I'm like, I absolutely hate the cold. I spent the first 30 years of my life seeking sun, and I actually thought I was a lizard because I basked on rocks, and it was amazing. It's amazing. So it wasn't until I came across the Wim Hof method that I was almost like scratching my head. What, the cold? I hate the cold, but I didn't know why I hated the cold. Maybe I was just told I hated the cold, and then I didn't like the feeling and the sensations. But from that year, the only thing I can you only learn from being uncomfortable. That's not the best thing to say to someone who's about to go into a cold shower. You can only learn from being uncomfortable. So you might feel like you're going to get punched metaphorically. Like, that's an awful thing to say. So I'd say start slowly. I would say start slowly. You have the control all the time. So you are voluntarily putting yourself into this situation. It's not coming at you. So there's take back your control and start slowly. Start with the feet, the ankles, and if you've got a shower, if you can take the head off, and then start with your feet, get your feet acclimatized, and then quickly go up the leg and then back down to the feet. So you sort of introduce it slowly, and then again the other side, and then the arms go and then back down, and then back down. That breath work, all you have to do, I'm not going to overcomplicate it, is all you have to do is breathe out longer than you breathe in, and that is it. And maybe think of the word surrender and relax, be open. But that's another, if you can get that far, that'd be awesome. But the first thing is you've got to take the control back with the cold and breathe out longer. So breathe in through the nose and elongate your out breath, because that really does activate your rest and digest and your calming side. So you are out of the cave, yes, that there's going to be an adrenaline rush, but there's no bear, so there's no need to have the cortisol. So it's just feel the adrenaline, this is new, but the calmness, and try and sort of zone into what you're doing and really focus on that. So start slowly, even if an ice cube on your hand, anything, to feel that, and actually, it's not so bad. Just have a different relationship with the cold and start to make friends with it. Because it's not an enemy. It's a birthright to enjoy. We are designed to feel really hot and feel really cold. So, but we like to stay in the middle of being comfort somehow. So our immune systems are kaput, because it gets bored. It needs the stress, but it needs it as a happy stressor in order to exercise it. So the cold is that aspect. And yeah, once you've mastered that and have the self-belief and confidence that you can do it, and you feel amazing afterwards, as you say, the endorphin rush, and it's just so good for you in many ways. That it becomes like quite addictive, because you're like, I want to do it again. Like I can't believe the fear is gone and the acceptance is there, and you just keep wanting to do it. It gives you so much energy. I wouldn't do what I do today to the extent if I didn't connect with the Wim Hof method. I travel a lot, I go into nature, I teach, and I don't neglect myself. So I live by my sword. Like, every day before I teach, or I connect with myself with the breathing and the cold, because otherwise I would go down and get exhausted and jet lagged and things like that. But when you do the method and oxygenate your body and have that balance back, you can do so much more than you think.
Yeah, well, you practice what you preach, all right? Yes.
One of the I was a lead instructor in Poland, and one of the advice I got was don't put the participants through anything that you wouldn't do. And I'm like, oh, okay. So my group had a really healthy lot of cold exposure, shall we say, and they're all smiling. So, so yeah, I do live by the method. Yeah.
Okay. And the third pillar then of which is the commitment, the mindset.
Yes.
Give us some brief thoughts on what that entails. I mean, I suppose it is in combination with the other two, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the third pillar, I suppose the mindset is to set, when you go into the cold, I know it's different with a cold shower because you're probably having to do it before you go to work, blah, blah, blah. But at least you're not thinking that you're already at work. With a cold shower, you're really like having a cold shower and all the thoughts go away and you're just focusing on where the cold is hitting you. So that brings you back to the present moment. So imagine that and taking that a little bit further. So imagine when you're sat in the cold, or like I am in, like say in a pool, then you just set your focus, you set your intention. Why am I here? What am I going to get out of it? Whether it's gratitude, how do I feel, and things like that. So that allows, I think it just slows down the negative thought patterns or the overthinking thought patterns, and just slows it down, and your mind has a lot more clarity and a lot more creativity, because you filter out all the rubbish and you're left with the pure good stuff. So with that, if you're in the cold for a place that you feel uncomfortable, then you can start visualization. And I know you do that a lot in business and things like that, but in and Tony Robbins, he does a lot of visualization. But you can actually do that in the water. So you can visualize warm heat from the belly, if you like, and then you just push it around, visualize it's going around the body, and everything like that. And the mind is so powerful. It can think chemically that you are in warm and everything like that. It's just amazing. The focus for me is just filtering out the unnecessary things that you've got in your brain. So when you're in the water, I can't think about who I'm going to text, phone, shopping list, just all these things. I just come to the present moment. So by visiting the present moment every time, you're able to do so much more of your day. And that focus becomes quicker to come into the present. And I think that's great. Yeah, have a future, have a plan. I'm not saying that, but just exercising the ability to be aware and what is. Yeah.
I think that there is a time for us to spend planning the future, and there is a time for us to not to do that at all and focus on the moment, the present that we're living. Otherwise, we keep on living inside our head rather than appreciating what there is right now.
Like Russell Brand said, get out of your room that you've got the key to and it's open, and live in the rest of your mansion. Yeah, so absolutely. And when you come out of the water, you feel so energized that maybe that's the time to like book meetings, plan, write the best script of your life, because you're like, wow, I feel amazing. Then when you do the breathing and you feel really centered, that could also be another time to be proactive and things like that. But or the water, be present. It gives you so much flexibility of what you can do. But there is power in less is more. And breathing is such a paradox. So don't even overthink that. It's all about going with the flow of life and trusting everything, which probably is spiritual, isn't it? Because it's the connections that you meet people for a reason. There's lessons to be learned. The flexibility of coping with the uncomfortable you can put into your life, and you can apply it, because up until then it's happening to you anyway. You've got two choices. One, pain is inevitable, but suffering
is optional. Yes.
Now I say that a lot in my workshops. So I choose not to suffer. So you have a different outlook, and I know Tony Robbins does say that as well. Like, you are in control of you. So, and that's so powerful. And you learn that from the Wim Hof method.
And that's actually the only thing that we are in control of is our response to things, our thoughts. Everything else is completely outside of our control, as much as we would like to think otherwise. It's not. The only thing we can control is how we respond to everything.
And that's the gift. As soon as you realize that.
You realize, yeah, absolutely. You have to realize it first and then start practicing it.
So for me, the Wim Hof method is a shortcut to realizing that, because you can't do it without realizing that, or coming to that realization, if you like. And that's so beautiful.
I wanted to ask you something else. I remember when I went to Wim's event in London.
Yeah.
He said something at the very end that stayed with me. He said, "Change the world, guys."
Yeah.
So maybe just saying it like that without context doesn't make much sense. So that was at the end of a very long day with great experience.
Yeah,
but my question to you is, if you could change anything in the world, let's say you had a magic wand and you could change something in the world as it is today,
yeah.
What would that be?
I think I initially wanted to change the world for everyone, but that's not happening. So I kind of just like, if you raise your own vibrations, or just do something that makes you happy every day, and it don't have to be selfish or anything, like that. It's just, if everyone has their own responsibility, then that's changing the world. Yeah, so I totally get that now, and it's a beautiful, beautiful realization again. And you see, when people are changing, you see them, and people who are not quite there yet, you can guide them through a suggestion of like the Wim Hof method, and then they'll see for themselves. So I think if people are skeptical, that's fantastic, because curiosity will bring them there. People are into their science and the rationale, brilliant, they'll bring them there. Or people just wanting to search for something else because it's not quite working out, but they don't know what it is, then go there. It's like a funnel for so many things. And just try it once, and see how you feel. But the responsibility is yours. Take it back. Yeah. That's what he means by changing the world.
We can only change ourselves, can't we? We can't change the world as such. It's impossible. We can, by changing ourselves, we do have the ability to change the world because of the impact that we have on others and the ripple effect, as our friend Will Polston says.
A lovely ripple effect. So Wim's doing it from the top down, and we're doing it from the bottom up, and it's going to happen. Yeah, I feel it. I think I said to Will, actually, I'm living in a really positive world. Like, my bubble, or my Google bubble, or whatever, is really positive. It's full of people changing, wanting to change, and feeling really different. So I don't surround myself with the negativity. Yes, they come, and if they want to raise a vibration and join us, but I'm not going to go back down. Do you know what I mean? So I see the change happening in the world, and I love it, and that inspires me to carry on going from the bottom up.
I know exactly what you mean, and I completely connect with what you're saying. More than more than I can say. But yeah, Emma, how can people find? Obviously, apart from the links to the Wim Hof website, which I'm going to put in the show notes, if people wanted to connect with you and find out more about what it is that you do in the UK or abroad, how can they connect?
Well, I use a lot of Facebook and Instagram, so you can connect. I can give you the links for that, and Messenger. I'm very available. I might not reply straight away if I'm in Cumbria. The irony, because I'm in nature and I don't get any signal. But when I'm traveling, I get a lot of the texts and stuff. So whether it's email, Instagram, or Messenger, I've got a website. You can contact me via there. I'm super flexible with my approach, because again, just the ability to let go. So if you have a place, we can make it happen, as Will says. It can happen, whether it's in an office, a yoga studio, a yurt, a field, or a school, or something like that. Don't overthink that. Leave that to me, because I can do that. If you're just curious and want to ask a question because something in our podcast has resonated with you, then don't be afraid. I don't bite. Just ask. I've heard a lot of questions coming my way, and gosh, if I can help, then I can help. The feelings and emotions, or anxiety, or the chances are I've been there. In Poland, when I was a participant, I like to think I was the world's worst participant, because I was always questioning, like, do we have to do this? But it looks so cold, like I have been there. So, and I never forget that, because going into the water every day, I still feel those feelings, but it's very empowering when I come out, and I recover quicker because I've adapted a lot quicker now. So I still remember what it's like to start. So yeah, I'm contactable from any angle, if you like. Just I'd rather you say, and then I can direct you, than leave it in your head festering.
Sure. This is awesome, and thank you very much. There is one last question that I wanted to ask. Is there anything else, anything that you would like me to ask about everything, and I completely missed it? Anything that very important that you would like to add?
Anything important to add? No, I think because you hit the nail on the head with the day I changed my mind was the day I realized the most powerful thing was to able to control your response to life, the simplicity and yet the power. So yeah, it's all in you. You've just got to go and get it. So mine was the cold. If yours is something else, that's fantastic. But you will find your way. You'll do that. So that to me is a powerful thing.
Beautifully said. Thank you very much. Emma, thank you so much for your time today, for the conversation we had. I hope that, I'm sure that people that listened to it have found some very interesting, thought-provoking, thoughts or emotions being generated to do something different, maybe to try something else, or maybe that ice cube that you said or even something simple. But yeah, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to speak with you, and I wish you all the best with the instructing endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I instruct anywhere. I'm very fortunate in my life and my choice to be global. So, but I'm based in the UK. But I have done workshops in Europe, and I'm going to Australia at the end of the year and things like that. So if you have a group of people, a group of crazy people that are not so crazy, I will say it's the safest extreme thing you'll ever do.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you very much. And
it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show. That's great.
Thank you, Emma. That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.